Like you, we just witnessed the Houston Astros win Game 7 of the World Series 5-1, their first ever World Series championship. And you just go back in time a couple years ago, guys. The Astros were coming off back-to-back 100-loss seasons. This would have been impossible to think of. But some people, like our friends at Sports Illustrated, had the foresight to suggest in 2014, after the Astros had lost a combined 217 games the 2 years prior, to say, there's a nucleus. There's a nucleus here that can win a World Series in 2017. Lo and behold, the George Springers, the Jose Altuves, the Carlos Correas, the Alex Bregmans, they made it come to fruition. What is your observation? What is your biggest takeaway from how the Astros assembled what is now a World Series championship team over the course of the past 4 or 5 years?
I mean, they did similar to what the Cubs did. They did it through the draft.
Absolutely right.
When you look at Alex Bregman, you mentioned George Springer.
But you still, CT, you still got to pick up Johnny Lester. You still got to pick up
Justin
John
Verlander.
Lackey. You got to still pick up the Justin Verlanders, the Gattises, the McCanns. You got to sprinkle in those veterans. But now we've seen them back-to-back seasons in baseball, teams that just knocked it all down, just were awful. We saw it with the Royals for how many years? Now, it took Kansas City 30 years to get it right, but even they got it right at some point. Like, this has changed sports to, you can sell to fan bases now, like the Chicago White Sox. Like, hey, we're going to be bad. Frankly, we're going to be just awful.
But give us a few years.
And we could be this. And fan bases are excited to see the direction of the White Sox, all the great young talent. I'm just using them as an example because right now we're talking about the worst team in the American League. But where could they be in 4 or 5 years? Who says they can't be the Astros?
Yeah, because they didn't just get position players like a Carlos Correa. Lance McCullers, who started this game tonight, was a guy that they drafted. So they drafted some pitchers. They drafted some position players. Some of these guys are going to hit. Some of these guys are going to miss. You know, they drafted a guy, Mark Appel, first overall, and ended up trading him to the Philadelphia Phillies. That's a guy that they didn't get right, so to speak. But certainly the fact that you don't have to go and get all free agents. You don't have to have the highest payroll in baseball like the Los Angeles Dodgers. You can draft and develop and use your scouting department and really kind of cultivate guys. And then it feels a little bit sweeter because if you come through the minor leagues in the organization, the fans get excited. They've been hearing the names, and now to see them on a big stage is just a cool thing.
Does this change the complexion of sports in other sports other than baseball, that the knock it down theory and start all over again?
I think outside of, in the 4 major sports, you don't really do that in the NFL.
Not at all.
But you do it in basketball. Hello, Philadelphia 76ers.
Seems to be working.
You do it in baseball. Hello, Chicago Cubs. Hello, Astros. Now the excitement for teams like the White Sox and the Atlanta Braves in the National League, their fan bases are looking forward to, 2020, that's when. It seems to work better in those sports for some reason. I don't really see it in the NHL.
Oh, we saw it with Connor McDavid, right?
Sure.
The year because he was.
Edmonton had a slew of #1 overall draft picks, and they finally hit on a McDavid. But in the NFL, where parity is maybe most pronounced, and you can quite literally go from worst to first in a matter of a season. We've seen many teams do that within their division, within their conference, within the league in the NFL. I don't think you need to take this tactic, but we rarely, if ever, see that in the NBA, a team go from out of the playoffs to a top 3 or 4 seed in a conference. We rarely see that in Major League Baseball, where you get only 4 teams that make the postseason out of each league. You rarely see someone go from 5th place in their division to a wild card or a division winner. So, yes, it makes sense to be bad to accrue those assets so you can try and hit on as many as you can like the Astros did. So, I think it's something that'll stay in baseball and basketball. I don't think it's something that'll ever catch on in the NHL and NFL.
No, but see, in the NFL, you know,
fight with the wild card.
in the NFL, guys can come in and make an immediate impact like a Carson Wentz. You know, a #2 pick in his 2nd year.
Right.
And people are saying the Eagles can go to the Super Bowl. So you don't have to really tear it down like that, so to speak, because you can have one bad season, get a guy, and in a couple years be right there. So you don't have to go through many seasons like the Astros or the Cubs like that.
Verlander was the difference in my eyes.
He was.
The fact that they went and picked him up. Okay. You remember when they didn't do anything? Who was the person, CT, that was most angry that they didn't go out there and get a pitcher?
Dallas Keuchel, very vocal about
Dallas Keuchel's like, what's going on here? I can't do this by myself. You guys see this pitching staff? And for him to come out and say that, I was surprised at that. They went and got Verlander. Verlander only gave up 5 hits in the World Series, lost both those games he started, which was crazy to think about. Right? Did he lose the first game?
He lost, yeah. Keuchel and Verlander, neither one of them got a win in the World Series.
He took his first L. I know the team lost the game that he started, but I don't think he got hit with the loss in his first.
But coming into this World Series, they had not won a game, right? That Keuchel and Verlander didn't start except for Game 7 of the ALCS. But I thought Verlander was. I thought Verlander gave them a kind of a swag about themselves, a confidence about themselves that they were playing on the level.